The board fired her on Christmas Eve. Then the CEO said, "Do you know who she is?" Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, it is free, and it is the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories like this one. Your support truly means the world to us. And let me ask you something. Where are you watching from right now? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you so much. Now, let us return to the main character. It is Christmas Eve. The lobby of the corporate headquarters glows with soft holiday lights. A tall tree stands near the elevators, decorated in silver and red. Somewhere in the distance, faint Christmas music plays through ceiling speakers, but none of it reaches her. She stands outside a glass-walled conference room, holding a thin cardboard box in her arms. Inside it are a coffee mug with a faded company logo, a small framed photo, and a notebook filled with handwritten reminders she never thought she would need to take home. Her name is Emily Carter, and she has just been fired. Inside the room, the board members are still seated around the long table. Laptops are open. Jackets are neatly draped over chairs. Someone is already laughing quietly, relieved the meeting is over. For them, this is just another agenda item checked off before the holidays. For Emily, it is everything. The human resources director had kept his voice calm and professional. He used phrases like organizational restructuring and budget realignment. He avoided eye contact as he slid the termination papers across the table. No anger, no apology, just efficiency. Emily did not argue. She did not raise her voice. She did not cry. She only asked one question. "May I finish today's shift?" The answer was no. Then she asked another, softer this time. "Could I at least receive my final paycheck today? I was planning to buy groceries for my mother." There was an awkward pause, a glance exchanged between two board members, then a polite shake of the head. Company policy. Now she stands alone in the hallway, watching her reflection ripple across the glass. 28 years old, 5 years with the company, perfect attendance, volunteered for overtime, covered holidays when others said no, and still disposable. Outside, snow falls steadily, coating the city streets in white. The temperature has dropped below freezing. The wind presses against the windows, reminding her how cold the world can be when a paycheck disappears. Emily tightens her grip on the box and starts walking toward the elevators. She does not know that this moment is being watched. Weeks earlier, she had held an elevator door open for a man struggling with a stack of folders. He had been dressed plainly, wearing a worn coat and carrying no badge. She had smiled, stepped aside, and said, "Take your time. You are good." Another day, she had quietly helped the same man reset a malfunctioning access card, even though it was not her responsibility. When he thanked her, she shrugged and said, "Everyone needs help sometimes." She never asked his name. She never asked his title. She never imagined he was the man who owned the building. Back in the hallway, the elevator doors slide open. Emily steps inside, alone, as the doors close with a soft chime. Her shoulders finally sag. The strength she borrowed for the meeting begins to fade. All she can think about is the drive home. The nearly empty refrigerator. The way her mother tried to act cheerful about Christmas dinner this year. What Emily does not know is that upstairs, in a private office overlooking the city, the company's CEO has just finished reviewing the final board summary. And he is very, very quiet. Because he recognizes her name. And the next time those board members sit down at that table, the conversation will not go the way they expect. The elevator descends in silence. Emily watches the numbers light up one by one as the building carries her downward, away from everything she thought was stable. Her reflection stares back at her from the polished metal doors. Calm on the outside, fractured underneath. When the doors open, a rush of cold air slips in from the revolving entrance. She steps into the lobby, her heels echoing softly against the marble floor. The security guard at the front desk offers a polite nod. He does not know. No one down here knows. Outside, the snow has thickened. Streetlights glow through the falling white, turning the night into something almost unreal. Emily pulls her coat tighter and walks toward the parking garage across the street. Her car is parked on the third level, wedged between a pickup truck and a sedan dusted with snow. When she opens the door, the cold hits her all at once. She sets the box on the passenger seat and sits behind the wheel without turning the key. For a long moment, she just breathes. She thinks about the past year, about staying late to help her team meet impossible deadlines, about skipping family dinners because someone had to keep the department running, about the quiet pride she felt wearing her badge every morning, believing hard work still meant something. Her phone vibrates in her coat pocket, a message from her mother. "Do not forget milk, and drive safe. It is snowing hard." Emily smiles faintly, even as her throat tightens. She types back, "I will be home soon." She does not say anything else. Across town, high above the city streets, the CEO remains in his office. The board meeting has ended. The building is nearly empty. Most executives have already left for holiday dinners and flights out of state. He stays. The file on his desk is thin, too thin. Emily Carter, Operations Support. 5 years. No disciplinary actions, strong performance reviews, reliable, invisible. He leans back in his chair, staring at the ceiling, replaying moments that once seemed insignificant. The elevator door that stayed open when his arms were full. The access card she fixed without hesitation. The way she spoke to him, not carefully, not impressively, just kindly. He had been wearing a borrowed badge that day. No title, no name anyone recognized, just another face moving through the company halls. And she had treated him like a person. His phone buzzes. A message from a board member wishing him happy holidays. He does not respond. Instead, he opens another file, then another. He scrolls through recent termination decisions, severance notes, approval chains. Patterns begin to emerge. Numbers prioritized over names. Speed over judgment. Outside his window, the city glitters with holiday lights. Inside, something feels deeply wrong. Back in her car, Emily finally turns the key. The engine hums to life. She pulls out of the garage slowly, navigating slick streets with care. Every stoplight feels longer than usual. Every red signal another reminder that tomorrow she has nowhere to go. She passes a grocery store, its parking lot full. Families hurry inside, bundled in scarves and hats. For a moment, she considers stopping. Then she remembers the balance in her checking account and keeps driving. At a stoplight, her phone vibrates again. This time, it is an email notification. Subject line, meeting request. She frowns, confused, and taps it open. The message is brief, formal, unexpected. A meeting scheduled for the following morning, 9 a.m., executive floor. No explanation. No sender name she recognizes. Her heart beats faster, not with hope, but with uncertainty. The light turns green. Cars behind her begin to move. Emily lowers the phone and drives on, the snow swirling around her headlights. She does not know why she has been called back. She does not know who requested the meeting, and she has no idea that the quiet man she once helped without a second thought is about to change everything. Morning comes quietly. The snow has stopped, leaving the city wrapped in a thin white blanket. Emily parks across the street from the corporate building and sits in her car for a moment, staring at the familiar glass tower. Yesterday, she left it carrying a box. Today, she has been called back inside. She checks the time, 8:45 a.m. She smooths the front of her coat, takes a steady breath, and steps out into the cold. The wind bites at her cheeks as she crosses the street, her boots crunching against the ice. Each step feels heavier than the last, as if the ground itself is asking her why she is here. Inside the lobby, the Christmas tree is still lit. A few ornaments are missing, taken down overnight by the cleaning crew. The music is gone. The space feels quieter, more serious. Emily approaches the front desk. "I have a meeting," she says, keeping her voice calm. 9 a.m., executive floor. The receptionist looks at her screen, then back up at Emily. There is a flicker of surprise, quickly hidden behind a professional smile. "Of course," she says. "Please take the elevator on the right." The ride up feels longer than the one the night before. Emily watches the numbers climb, her thoughts racing. She replays the email again and again. No reason, no context, just a summons. The doors open onto a carpeted hallway she has never walked before. The air smells faintly of coffee and polished wood. Framed photos of company milestones line the walls. Men and women in tailored suits move with quiet confidence, barely glancing her way. She feels out of place, but she keeps walking. At the end of the hall, a conference room door stands open. Inside, several board members are already seated. Their conversations stop when they see her. A few exchange looks. One clears his throat. Emily steps inside, her hands clasped in front of her. "Good morning," she says. No one responds right away. Then a voice speaks from the far end of the table. "Please have a seat, Emily." She turns. The man standing there is the same one she remembers from the elevator. Same calm eyes, same unassuming posture. Only now, he is wearing a tailored suit, his presence commanding the room without effort. The CEO. Emily freezes for a fraction of a second before taking a seat. The room is silent. The CEO remains standing, his hands resting lightly on the back of a chair. "Yesterday," he begins, his voice even, "a decision was made regarding an employee." He looks around the table. That decision was approved quickly, efficiently, without discussion. A board member shifts in his seat. The CEO continues. "I want to talk about that decision. But first, I want to talk about something else." He turns his gaze back to Emily. "Emily, how long have you worked here?" 5 years, she answers quietly. "And in those 5 years," he asks, "how many times has someone thanked you for doing something that was not in your job description?" She hesitates. "I do not know," she says honestly. "I was just doing my job." The CEO nods slowly. "That," he says, "is exactly the point." He walks a few steps closer to the table. "Over the past month, I have been observing this company from the inside. Without a title, without authority. I wanted to see how people treated one another when they thought no one important was watching." Murmurs ripple through the room. "I saw a lot," he continues. "Efficiency, ambition, fear," he pauses. "And I saw kindness. Rare, quiet, unrewarded." His eyes return to Emily. She held an elevator door when she did not have to. She fixed a problem that was not hers. She spoke to me like a human being. The room grows tense. The CEO straightens. "So before we continue," he says, his voice firm now, "I need to ask you all something." He looks directly at the board. "Do you know who she is?" No one answers. And in that silence, everything begins to change. The silence in the room feels heavy, almost physical. Emily sits perfectly still, her hands folded in her lap. She can feel the eyes on her now. Not curious, not dismissive, something closer to discomfort. The CEO lets the quiet stretch. He does not rush to fill it. "Emily Carter," he says at last, turning slightly toward her. "You were terminated yesterday afternoon. Is that correct?" "Yes," she answers. Her voice is steady, even though her heart is not. "Do you know why?" She considers the question carefully. "I was told it was due to restructuring." The CEO nods once, then looks back at the board. "Restructuring," he repeats. "An efficient word, a safe word." He walks slowly behind the chairs, his footsteps measured. "Let me tell you what I saw during my time here," he continues. "I saw managers walk past problems because they were inconvenient. I saw people avoid responsibility because it did not come with credit. I saw fear dressed up as professionalism." No one interrupts him. "And then," he says, stopping behind one board member, "I saw her." He gestures toward Emily. "I arrived early one morning carrying boxes. I was struggling. People looked away. She did not." Emily shifts slightly in her chair, unsure where to look. "She held the elevator door," the CEO says, "not because it earned her anything, but because it was the right thing to do." He moves again, slowly. "When my access card failed, she did not ask who I was. She did not check my title. She fixed the problem and sent me on my way with a smile." A board member clears his throat. "With all due respect," he begins, "kindness does not pay salaries." The CEO turns to him calmly. "No," he says, "but culture does." The room tightens. "This company was built on trust," the CEO continues, "on the belief that people matter. Somewhere along the way, we replaced that belief with numbers alone." He picks up a folder from the table and opens it. Emily Carter has never missed a deadline, never failed a review, never been written up, and yet She was dismissed without hesitation. He closes the folder. "Do you know what message that sends?" he asks. No one answers. "It tells every employee in this building that effort is optional, that loyalty is temporary, that humanity is a liability." Emily feels a lump rise in her throat. She keeps her eyes down, fighting the urge to disappear. The CEO looks at her again. "Emily," he says, softer now, "why did you help me that day?" She swallows. "Because you needed help," she replies. "That was all." He nods. "That answer," he says, "is why you are sitting in this room." He turns back to the board, his expression firm. "You evaluated her based on spreadsheets," he says. "I evaluated her based on character." He pauses. "Effective immediately," he continues, "the termination decision is revoked." A sharp inhale ripples through the room. Emily looks up, stunned. "And, effective immediately," the CEO adds, "we will be reviewing every recent termination approved without executive oversight." One board member stiffens. Another looks down at the table. "This review will include decision makers," the CEO says, "not just outcomes." He takes his seat at the head of the table. "Emily," he says, "you will not be returning to your previous role." Her heart sinks for a split second. "You will be moving into a new position," he continues, "one with authority, one with visibility." He meets her eyes. "Because this company does not need fewer people like you," he says. "It needs more." The room is completely silent now. Emily feels something unfamiliar rise in her chest. Not relief, not joy, recognition. And as the board members sit there, forced to confront what they nearly discarded, one thing becomes clear. This meeting was never about firing her. It was about revealing who truly belonged at the table. The meeting adjourns without applause. Chairs slide back, folders close. The board members stand, one by one, their movements stiff and restrained. No one looks at Emily as they file out of the room. They do not need to. The damage has already been done, and the lesson has already landed. Emily remains seated, unsure if she is supposed to move. The CEO waits until the door closes behind the last board member. Only then does the tension in the room finally ease. "You can breathe now," he says gently. Emily lets out a breath she did not realize she had been holding. Her hands tremble slightly as she places them on the table. "I am sorry," she says quietly. "I did not mean to cause trouble." The CEO looks at her with something close to sadness. "You did not cause this," he says. "You revealed it." He takes a seat across from her, no longer standing above the room, no longer performing for an audience. "When I went undercover," he continues, "I expected to find inefficiencies. I expected to find waste. What I did not expect was how quickly people forget why they are here." Emily listens, unsure what to say. "This company talks a lot about values," he says. "Integrity, teamwork, respect. But values only matter when they cost something." He pauses. "Yesterday, they cost you your job." Emily looks down at the table. The smooth surface reflects the overhead lights, bright and unforgiving. "I almost did not come back this morning," she admits. "I thought it was a mistake." He nods. "That would have been understandable." She hesitates, then asks, "Why did you really call me back?" The CEO does not answer right away. "Because I needed the board to see what they were about to lose," he says finally, "and because I needed you to see something too." She looks up. "You need to understand this was never about saving you," he says. "You did not need saving." He meets her eyes. "It was about accountability." He slides a thin folder across the table toward her. Inside are documents, a new role description, a title she has never seen attached to her name before, a salary figure that makes her heart skip. "Director of Internal Culture and Operations Integrity," she reads aloud, almost whispering. "This role reports directly to me," he says. "You will have the authority to question decisions, to audit processes, to slow things down when they move too fast to remain human." Emily closes the folder carefully, as if it might disappear. "I do not know if I am qualified," she says. A small smile appears on his face. "That is exactly why you are," he replies. He stands and extends his hand, not as a CEO, as a person. Emily rises and takes it. His grip is firm, steady. "Welcome back," he says. When she leaves the conference room, the hallway feels different. The same framed photos line the walls, but now she sees them clearly. Not as symbols of success, but as reminders of responsibility. Downstairs, the lobby is busier than it was yesterday. Employees move in and out, carrying coffee, chatting quietly. No one knows what just happened upstairs. Emily pauses near the Christmas tree. She looks at the lights, at the ornaments that managed to survive the night. Her phone vibrates, a message from her mother. "Did everything go okay?" Emily types back slowly. "Yes, better than okay." She slips the phone back into her pocket and steps outside into the cold morning air. The snow crunches beneath her boots. The sky is bright and clear. For the first time since yesterday, she feels something she almost forgot. Not relief, not gratitude, but certainty. And far above her, in an office overlooking the city, the CEO watches employees enter the building, one by one, knowing that the real work is only just beginning. The change does not announce itself with fanfare. On Emily's first day in her new role, the building looks exactly the same. The same glass doors, the same security desk, the same hum of morning conversations. But the way people look at her has shifted, even if they do not yet understand why. She no longer carries a cardboard box. She carries a slim leather folder and a badge with a different title beneath her name: Director of Internal Culture and Operations Integrity. The words feel heavy, not with pride, but with responsibility. As she walks through the lobby, a few familiar faces glance up. Some smile politely. Others look away, unsure. Rumors move faster than emails in a building like this. Everyone knows something happened in the boardroom, even if they do not know what. Emily rides the elevator alone. She watches the doors close and takes a slow breath. On her desk upstairs, a handwritten note waits for her. "Take your time. Listen first. Do not let anyone rush you. No signature is needed." Her morning is quiet. Too quiet. She reviews policies, termination logs, internal complaints that never reach the executive level. Patterns emerge quickly. Decisions made fast. Appeals denied faster. People labeled as costs instead of contributors. By midday, the quiet ends. A senior manager knocks on her open door without waiting for an answer. "I just wanted to clarify something," he says, forcing a smile. "Your role. What exactly is it that you do now?" Emily meets his eyes calmly. "I ask questions," she replies, "and I document the answers." The smile tightens. "Well," he says, "I hope this does not slow things down." She nods once. If it does, there is usually a reason. He leaves without another word. That afternoon, she attends her first departmental review. The room is full. Conversations pause when she enters. She takes a seat near the end of the table, not at the head. Not yet. As the meeting begins, numbers fill the screen. Efficiency metrics, cost savings, projections. Then Emily raises her hand. "When was the last time we reviewed the human impact of these changes?" she asks. The room shifts uncomfortably. "That is not typically part of this meeting," someone replies. "It is now," she says, gently. No one argues. Across the building, the CEO watches quietly. He does not step in. He does not rescue her from the tension. This part matters. By the end of the week, emails begin to arrive. Some are cautious, some defensive. A few are grateful. One message stands out. "Thank you for asking why," it reads. No one has asked that in a long time. Emily reads it twice. That evening, as she leaves the building, the Christmas tree in the lobby has been taken down. The ornaments are gone, the lights packed away. But the space does not feel empty. It feels honest. Outside, the cold air bites at her cheeks. She pulls her coat tighter and walks toward her car, past the same streetlights, the same sidewalks. Only now, she walks differently, not because she has power, but because she knows what it is for. High above the city, the CEO remains in his office, long after dark. He looks down at the building, floor by floor, lights blinking off one by one. He thinks about how easy it is to miss people like Emily, how dangerous it is to build something without them. The test is not over. It has only just begun. And this time, he is not watching alone. The pushback begins quietly. It starts with calendar changes, meetings moved without notice, emails answered slowly, if at all. Requests for documentation returned with vague explanations and missing attachments. Emily notices everything. By the second week, it becomes clear that not everyone welcomes her role. Some see it as oversight. Others see it as a threat. One afternoon, she is reviewing a termination case flagged for urgency. The employee is a warehouse supervisor with 12 years of service, dismissed after a single missed target during a system outage. Emily requests the full report. What she receives is incomplete. She asks again. This time, the response is curt. Approved at the department level, the email reads. No further review required. Emily closes her laptop and walks down the hall. The department head looks up when she enters his office, surprise flickering across his face. This will only take a moment, she says calmly. He leans back in his chair. I was under the impression that your role was advisory. It is, she replies, and I am advising you that this termination does not meet company standards. He smiles thinly. Standards change. Emily nods. They do. That is why they are written down. The smile fades. By the end of the day, word spreads. Emily is not ceremonial. She is not symbolic. She is documenting everything. The resistance escalates. Anonymous complaints are filed, questioning her qualifications. Rumors circulate that her promotion was personal, earned through favoritism. Emily hears them in passing. She does not respond. Instead, she keeps working. Late one evening, she stays behind to cross-reference termination timelines with internal communications. Patterns emerge that cannot be ignored. Entire departments pressured to cut costs before bonuses were calculated. Warnings silenced, appeals buried. She compiles her findings carefully. Across the city, the CEO receives her report after midnight. He reads it once, then again. In the morning, he calls for an unscheduled leadership meeting. The room fills quickly, faces tense, conversations hushed. Emily sits near the back, her folder closed. The CEO enters without greeting. We have a problem, he says simply. No slides, no introductions. He begins reading excerpts from the report. Dates, decisions, names. The room grows colder with each sentence. This company does not reward fear, he says. It does not hide mistakes behind speed. He looks directly at one executive. You approved 5 terminations without due process, he says. Why? The executive stammers. We were under pressure to meet targets. The CEO nods once. You are no longer under that pressure. Security is called. Quietly. Efficiently. Another leader attempts to deflect. Another explanation. Another excuse. Each one falls apart under the weight of documentation. Emily watches, her heart steady, her hands still. The CEO turns to the room. This is what accountability looks like, he says. Not punishment. Correction. He pauses. And this, he adds, gesturing toward Emily, is why her role exists. Silence follows. After the meeting, as people file out, a few pause near Emily. One offers a nod of respect. Another murmurs a quiet apology. That night, Emily sits in her car longer than usual. She thinks about how close she came to leaving all of this behind, about how easy it would have been to disappear quietly. Instead, she stayed. Inside the building, the lights begin to turn off floor by floor. The system resists before it changes. But change has started, and this time, it is documented. The weeks that follow are not easy. The changes ripple outward, slow at first, then unmistakable. Processes that once moved quietly now pause under scrutiny. Managers who never expected to explain themselves begin choosing their words more carefully. Emily feels it everywhere. In meetings, people speak less and listen more. In emails, language softens. Words like necessary and unavoidable start to disappear, replaced by questions that begin with why. Not everyone appreciates the shift. One evening, as Emily gathers her things to leave, she finds an envelope on her desk. No name, no return address. Inside is a single printed page. You should be careful, it reads. You are making powerful people uncomfortable. Emily sits down slowly, reading it twice. Her first instinct is fear. Her second is anger. But neither lasts long. She folds the paper carefully and places it in her folder, alongside reports and timelines and evidence. It belongs there, not as a threat, but as proof. That night, she does not call anyone. She does not forward the note. She does not ask for protection. She shows up the next morning and keeps working. The CEO notices. He does not mention the envelope because she never tells him, but he sees the way she carries herself now. Quieter, firmer, less concerned with being liked. One afternoon, he invites her to walk with him through the building. They move floor by floor, not as executives, but as observers. They stop to speak with employees, not formally, not on record. A junior analyst admits she no longer feels invisible. A facilities worker thanks Emily for listening when no one else would. A manager confesses he had been afraid to question decisions before. As they ride the elevator together, the CEO breaks the silence. "Do you regret staying?" he asks. Emily thinks for a moment. "No," she says, "but I understand now why people leave." He nods. "And yet you did not." "Because if I left," she replies, "nothing would change." The elevator doors open. Later that week, the company holds a town hall meeting. No stage, no script. Employees gather in the atrium, standing shoulder to shoulder. The CEO speaks plainly. He talks about mistakes, about systems that failed people, about how easily good intentions can be buried by speed and fear. Then he does something unexpected. He asks Emily to speak. She steps forward slowly, heart pounding, eyes scanning the crowd. Hundreds of faces look back at her, curious, cautious, hopeful. "I was almost not here today," she begins. "Not because I was fired, but because I was ready to believe that my voice did not matter." The room is still. "But it does," she continues, "and so does yours." She does not promise perfection. She does not offer comfort. She offers something harder, accountability. When the meeting ends, applause fills the atrium. Not loud, not dramatic, steady. That evening, Emily returns to her desk and opens her email. Messages wait for her. Stories, questions, gratitude. She answers each one carefully. Outside, the city moves on. Traffic hums. Lights flicker on in apartment windows. Life continues, unaware of the quiet shifts happening inside one glass building. Emily shuts down her computer and stands. For the first time since Christmas Eve, she feels something settle inside her. Not victory, not revenge, purpose. And in an office above her, the CEO watches the atrium empty, knowing the hardest work was never about exposure. It was about endurance. And Emily has proven she has it. The building settles into a new rhythm. It is subtle at first. Fewer rushed decisions. More conversations that end with silence instead of signatures. Policies are rewritten, not to sound better, but to work better. Emily remains exactly where she is. Not elevated above others. Not protected from criticism. Just present. Months pass. Spring replaces winter. The glass tower reflects blue skies instead of falling snow. The Christmas Eve that nearly erased her begins to feel distant, like a scar that no longer aches but never disappears. One late afternoon, Emily stands near the lobby windows, watching employees leave for the day. Some laugh, some walk quietly, tired but intact. She recognizes the difference now. The CEO joins her without announcement. "You changed the temperature of this place," he says, looking out at the street. Emily shakes her head. "I did not," she replies. "I just stopped ignoring it." He smiles at that. "You know," he says, "when I went undercover, I thought I was testing the company." She turns toward him. "I was wrong. I was testing myself." She waits. "I wanted to know if I still believed what I built," he continues, "or if I had let it become something easier to manage than to lead." He pauses. "You reminded me." Emily does not respond right away. "I never wanted to be the reason someone lost their job," she says quietly. "And yet," he replies, "you became the reason many people kept theirs." They stand in silence for a moment. Later that week, Emily receives an email from the warehouse supervisor whose termination she reviewed months earlier. He writes simply to say thank you. He is back at work. His team is intact. His faith partially restored. She reads the message twice before closing it. That evening, as the sun sets behind the city skyline, Emily walks out of the building and stops beneath the overhang. The street is busy, ordinary, alive. She thinks about how close she came to disappearing quietly, about how easy it would have been to believe she did not matter. Inside, the CEO watches from his office window as she steps into the crowd and blends in. No escort, no spotlight, exactly as it should be. He turns back to his desk, where a small note sits framed beside his monitor. It reads, "Everyone needs help sometimes." The words are simple, unimpressive, and they changed everything. Back on the sidewalk, Emily checks her phone. A message from her mother lights up the screen. "Dinner is ready. Do not be late." Emily smiles and types back, "I am on my way." She slips the phone into her pocket and walks toward home, her steps steady, her shoulders light. She was fired on Christmas Eve. She was nearly forgotten. But in the end, she became something far more powerful than protected. She became undeniable. And sometimes, that is all it takes to change a system that forgot what it was built for. This story is not about a CEO rescuing an employee. It is about what happens when power finally recognizes character. Because true leadership is not about titles or authority. It is about who you protect when no one thinks it matters. So let me ask you, would you still choose kindness if you believed no one was watching?